Welcome to the Golden Pathway Zoom seminar and happy 2026. We have been hosting programs to bridge the gap between the seven major world religions and the teachings of the Ascended Masters for the last 10 years or so. And in the last six or so, the emphasis has shifted from welcoming new people to the Ascended Masters teachings to deepening the work of serious spiritual seekers who are committed to the teachings of the Ascended Masters. And our themes have included topics like healing from a spiritual perspective, relationships from a spiritual perspective, refreshing your psychology, creating abundance, strategies for victory, practicing spirituality, and climbing the mystical path. Last year, our theme was Pathways to Peace, and the theme for 2026 is Embodying Your Sainthood. So we're excited about this focus and how it will help all of us to accelerate our trek upwards towards the ascension. I'd like to start this session with two mantras, if you don't mind. The first one is from Jesus Affirmations in 1975. If you're looking at a decree book, it's on page 430, but it's very simple. I am a son of God. I am a daughter of God. I am the Father and the Mother. I am the Holy Spirit. I am the Christed One. So let's claim our sonship together. I am a son of God. I am a daughter of God. I am the Father and the Mother. I am the Holy Spirit. I am the Christed One. I am a son of God. I am a daughter of God. I am the Father and the Mother. I am the Holy Spirit. I am the Christed One. I am a son of God. I am a daughter of God. I am the Father and the Mother. I am the Holy Spirit. I am the Christed One. Thank you. So let's give the golden mantra 3 times before we start together. The golden mantras to Padmasambhava, saying, please grant me the ordinary and supreme accomplishments. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padme Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padme Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padme Siddhi Hum. Thank you. Our topic today is astrology, for an update on astrology for 2026 with one of our favorite presenters, Christine Barrere. So do you want 2026 to be a year filled with opportunities, abundance, and love? Christine Barrere is going to give us her annual astrology update, and we'll be looking at what the stars suggest are the most positive opportunities for personal growth this year, and take a quick look at the U.S. astrology for the year as well. Additionally, we'll highlight the most significant challenges of 2026. And this is the session I think you're going to learn a lot from. I'm ready to take notes myself. You all know and love Christine Barrere. She discovered astrology as a teen and learned that each person has their own unique destiny. She honors that destiny as she works with individuals to discover their personal gifts, ways to overcome problems, and sources for empowerment. She's been doing this work since 1986, and she joined the teachings of the Ascended Masters in 1979. Currently living in Livingston, Montana, she's the mother of 4 boys and publishes weekly newsletters, Star Drops, which can be accessed on her website, www.starfires.com. And you may reach her at Sirius@starfires.com. Welcome, Christine. We are so excited to have you with us again.
Thank you, Patricia, and welcome everybody. This is going to be an interesting update, and I want to start this off with basically an overview of certain planets that are in the solar system that have started moving into position since last January. I don't know how many of you were online with us last year to present the 2025 blueprint, but I was very excited about many of those planet positions beginning January 2025, and they have been morphing and moving forward and gathering more power as we got into the summer and then the end of the year, and now they're cresting and really taking off in 2026 on. So my idea was to go through the main ones, and Rosalinda, is there a Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus chart that we might want to put up? And take your time. That's the one that we might want to have. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So I just sometimes like to have a bit of a visual here. And so the planets that we're going to be going into are the Pluto moving into Aquarius, still at early degrees here on the top, the Saturn, which looks like a lowercase h on the left, and the Neptune right next to it, which looks like a trident fork. And then down on the lower left is the planet Uranus. And I'm going to be talking in the beginning mostly about these. And this is very rare configuration where it might be a little bit difficult to see, but planets make relationships with each other depending on the degrees, how close each one of the degrees, the numbers are to each other. And so we have Pluto at 4, Saturn, Neptune at 0 to 4. We have Uranus leaving 27 Taurus, moving quickly into 2, 3, 4 degrees Gemini. They're all lining up in favorable support of each other. And it started mildly already last summer, very strong, and then really powerful coming into all 2026 and beyond. So we're going to go into this. I am going to start off now and get through all of this. I know it's a lot of information. I'll try to break it up with particular comments and insights that I might have. It's a lot, but hang in there because it's worth it to get the big picture. So we're starting off with our 2026 overview with the bold, distinct influence of Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So that, again, would be the two upper left-hand planets it's looking like it's in house number 12, but disregard that. But those are the position, they're side by side. And a conjunction means two planets or more are occupying the same space and in close degree to each other at the same time in the sky. Saturn obviously would be in front of Neptune from Earth's perspective because it's the closer planet. Neptune would be just behind it, and they appear as one. So they merge each other's personalities together when they are close like this versus just separate doing their own thing in the sky. This aspect between planets in conjunction merge the energies in a unique and enhanced influence upon all of us. So the Saturn and Neptune are both moving towards 0 Aries. Allegedly, the last time that these two planets conjoined exactly at 0 Aries, which is the fresh new beginning or start, is a cardinal position, was 4,360 BC. So we are looking at a rare moment in time. Saturn and Neptune come together like this in any kind of zodiac sign every 36 years. But it has been over 6,000 years since it was actually landing in the sign of Aries at 0. This is really a special moment. The question I would ask myself under this rare influence of these planets together would be, how is this impacting my quest for fulfillment, for greater agency and alignment with my true higher identity, which we know is our Holy Christ self? Aries is the Christ identity on the 3 o'clock line of the I am awareness versus the human ego identity. So if Saturn and Neptune are both in the sign of Aries, it's going to be magnifying an initiation and a release of energy in that theme. The power of Saturn and Neptune has been going on since last June, July, August, but it didn't exactly peak. Saturn was at 0, 1, I believe, Aries. Neptune was off a little bit leaving, it was at 2 degrees Aries, but they weren't combined at the same time. They weren't conjoining at the same week, day, month, but it is now. So it started to move back into position in January, and it returns exactly February 8 to March 5, and is exact 0 to 0, February 21, 2026. And then it will move on. So this could be seen as the Christ self and what I consider the second coming, in a way, of our Holy Christ self, the Christ coming into our world. Saturn, Neptune, 0 Aries, the example could be the second coming of Christ that they speak about, in a way, because there's an expanded consciousness. There's an integrating of a large percentage of humanity's consciousness in our physical everyday world, their consciousness and subtle bodies integrating more and more with being open and receptive to overcoming negative patterns, negative influences, old momentums, old ego triggers. I see it everywhere I go. People I'm talking to, they want to rise above their restricted selves and break through the ceiling and come up higher and feel a sense of peace, transcendence, and overcoming of limitations. This cycle, since it's already begun last June 5 to August 23, some of you may have already experienced a difference that you feel from last year of changing your way of looking at things. It opened the door for new impetus towards integration with the ideals that we desire to live in. It might have been very private, very personal, but I certainly could experience something altering, like I wasn't satisfied with the old way of thinking any longer. And we could even feel it as a frustration, like I just have to get over this thing, or I want to overcome or transform myself in some capacity. So it is peaking right now, January and February, for a greater desire to evolve into a new path or outlook for yourselves. It would be an impetus to upgrade, regain control over the way things should be, ideally, that you would love them to be in your life, since Aries has to do with control, God control, and it also is a very innocent, childlike, idealistic vision that one wants to bring down and act upon. It's an action-oriented sign, and Saturn is the crystallization of Neptune's vision in Aries, which is to be the Christ. So this conjunction has the potential for giving people a stronger impetus to access something eternal within themselves, and then be self-directed with new fullness of truth, a greater reflection of their real self, real purpose in life. This new awareness can be outpictured as an ideal we are reaching for in this embodiment, an increase of our ability to sense we are integrating with our higher self, trusting its guidance into our consciousness. It's so much stronger than normal at this time. So it began slightly last June through August, and by the time it returns right now, up through peaking on the 21st of February and then continuing into March, it sets the new reality in place, because Saturn will anchor it and crystallize it into a new permanent state of mind, a state of being. It would be an amazing thing to pay attention during these last few weeks of January through February, to tune in our attention upon our Christ self and our I am presence as it desires to influence our lives, more than reliance on our old patterns, old ego functioning, and analytical mind. Ask, commune, and open up for this divine perfection to come in. So even though this cycle is making its last powerful release, February through March, it continues operating in this new fashion permanently, as long as Saturn is in Aries up through 2028. Just that alone, that planet alone, we can really practice out picturing this new identity and experience working on bringing it into the physical. Even though Saturn will move on past Neptune and will no longer be conjoining Neptune, it's already setting the pace for the next 2 years, as Saturn takes a long time traveling through all the degrees of Aries. That means that we have ample opportunity to start practicing, integrating, and bringing into the physical this new identity, this new self. There's also an understanding that every 36 years that Saturn and Neptune can join together. There's also another pattern that it could set the stage for the next 36 years of a theme of Christ awareness and Christ integration until Saturn and Neptune come back again in a new zodiac sign. But this, like I said before, will never happen in our lifetime again. In fact, I have somewhere the next time that maybe they've calculated that Saturn and Neptune will conjoin at 0 Aries would be the year 5792. So this is really, really special, very, very rare. Now we're going to move on to Pluto. The most significant change in our solar system was Pluto leaving Capricorn and entering Aquarius in 2023, and it moved through Aquarius up through 2041. It was an epic energy since it influenced humanity in advancing into the opportunity for the ideal Aquarian age theme to materialize. We can look at this power Pluto cycle as a thrust of energy working through Aquarius, God love, and all that Aquarius represents to us. Freedom, independence, self-governing under the Christ influence, along with advanced technologies, physics, consciousness, and alchemy. Uranus is the planet of innovation, change, and Uranus, and it rules Aquarius. And it has been moving from Taurus since 2018 into Gemini last July 2025. So the planet that rules Aquarius, and we're going into this Aquarian age, and Pluto, the planet of core power, has been triggering and releasing energy through Aquarius since 2023 to 2041. We want to look at the planet that rules Aquarius naturally, which is Uranus, and see what it's up to. So the Uranus in the chart, the same chart, is going to be down on the lower left, and that's it right now still as of this January, February, 27 degrees Taurus, but it's soon going to go to 28, 29 degrees and then jump to 0 Gemini very soon in April. So I just want you to know that that is part of this entire amazing configuration here. But on this chart, it still looks like it's in Taurus. So Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Globally, humanity has experienced from 2018 up to 2026 April serious advances in technology, engineering, and it's been called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, involving rapid acceleration of advanced exotic tech, military equipment, internet, new ways of working, machinery, equipment. It's advanced the physical realm everywhere because Taurus has to do with our material plane. Also an acceleration in the way people earn a living more creatively, since Taurus involves income, financial security, wealth building, and money. New doors of opportunity, greater freedom, and unconventional businesses opened and began 2018 to 2026, April. Internet-based businesses, remote work intensely increased. Taurus also represents a greater awareness of your innate value, that you knowing that you are of value, your worth, spiritually speaking, but also the things you value in life, the treasures that you possess. It highlights preserving things worth keeping and even expanding and building upon what resources we already have, since Taurus rules resources. It also rules treasures, things that we treasure. Anything which people could decide is of value and worth, desiring to preserve the quality of a thing, has been sharpened in people's outer awareness. We can see this in the emphasis upon making available treasures found in high-level teachings of the Great White Brotherhood on the planet. You can see a rise in the quality research on the net involving lost years of Jesus, researching very Tauran megalithic structures, ancient engineering, and all things that pertaining to scripture, cuneiform, Akkadian writings, the raw original teachings and writings, everything that has to do with an unadulterated platform. People are valuing these things, the core building blocks for humanity's evolving into a golden age. So the emphasis has been upon these Taurus qualities: value, worth, preserving, building, business, preserving treasures, engineering, construction, design, technology, and building soul. What is soul? How does one nurture and increase one's soul? Power, love, light, eternal life. Now, these are very, very important things, because when we go into the next piece, when Uranus goes into Gemini, we're going to talk about what's happening. So these are all, again, emphasized and pondered by many people 2018 to 2026 April. The last piece of the Uranus in Taurus would impact the economy, since Taurus is all about money. It's about gold and silver, metals, and currency value. When Uranus is in Taurus, we see an acceleration of discussions putting into place the issue of money and the means of exchange. The economy is and has been an accelerated period of transition from 2018 on. Those speculating and experimenting with future money and attempting to integrate new forms of currency are just about finished with this preliminary period and about to go fully live into a new form of finance. That final movement may happen under a Pluto node period conjunction, November 2027. So if it's accurate, nodes have a lot to do with the trends of society, but also the economy and finance. And Pluto on the node is a major marking point of a powerful transformation and setting some new standard in place. So we'll see if that's true, but that's what I came up with. Then this April 2026 will mark the end of the experimental, ruminating, discussion, collaboration cycle of all that money, wealth, economy, Taurus, finance stuff. Then it's going to move out of Taurus and move into the sign of Gemini. But just before it does that, Uranus will make a sextile, which is a 60-degree space angle to Saturn. And that will be all this January 2026. It slightly started last March and April 2025, June, August 2025, and then peaking again January 9 through the 30th, 2026. All of these aspects move society up a notch in functionality in any of these areas we've already discussed. Sextiles mean people are sharing the information and they are agreeable, harmonious, and they're learning from each other. So let's continue with Uranus leaving Taurus, moving into Gemini. Uranus, that lower left-hand planet, is going to be making also a 60-degree angle to the planet Neptune. And it started August 25, 2025, and it goes all the way to June 6, 2027. This is really powerful. So every one of these planets that I'm talking about, this doesn't happen very often. All of them together, all at once in 1 year. Trust me. In fact, I'm going to pause for a second and say very fast that, excuse me if I've done this before. I can't remember I told you guys this before, but in 2002, 2001, I was commissioned to write a lecture and presentation on when did I believe the golden age would come astrologically. I resisted doing the lecture. I didn't want to write anything like that because I didn't think that it would actually be what they're thinking, like voila, all of a sudden we're in the Aquarian age because the planets are all lined up. But they talked me into at least trying to see when things would maybe get accelerated and transforming the society. And so I did it. I laboriously went through year after year after year until I got to 2025 and 2026, 2027, all the way to 2033. And I literally couldn't believe it. It's like I found it. And all the planets finally coalesced and lined up together in these amazing positive connections, trines, and sextiles with several other different events. And I felt that this could truly be a sign of the potential of moving into that next layer, dimension of higher consciousness, of the light bearers we're looking for. Now, does that mean everybody on the planet is going to have this? Obviously not. So we could be experiencing the Aquarian age now, right now. In fact, I believe we're having it. And we just are in a more of a beautiful age, no matter what corruption is being exposed and coming out for us to make calls on and to be revealed, and more obstinate darkness and opposition, all of that's still happening. But I can sense that there's another layer that we are transcending into every day, and that it's urging us to have that magnum opus Saint Germain higher consciousness awareness that we want to reach, where we finally feel like we're in that vibration and we've made it to this certain level. And so I look at things more like the integration of God consciousness, the Holy Christ self, the devotion and oneness with the I Am Presence, and helping replace all the dependence on the lower self. More than I think of my ascension, actually, I should think of my ascension, but more I'm concentrating on the work. So this is what I think this cycle is about. So Uranus and Gemini, sextile Neptune. This is the transformation of consciousness, science and physics, plasma, and plasma having intention and interfacing with people and chakras and consciousness within us and the world around us. This is the breakthroughs in science that's helping spirituality and science become unified at a very high, very, very subtle frequency. And there are many scientists and physicists that are exploring this right now. So it is a revelatory breakthrough of exotic physics and science and consciousness that's occurring with this transit of Uranus sextile Neptune. It utilizes the idealism, the spirituality, and the uplifting concepts that we possess for ourselves and humanity in deep, deep discoveries, and we share them among each other regarding our future and where it's taking us. It combines advanced society, lifestyles, future potential combined with a greater spiritual-based society, awareness of consciousness, and transformation. And I'd also like to include, why not include the violet flame in this? Why not make it an absolute, just complete, everyday conversation, and people more and more would just be accepting it? I have a few clients, never heard the teachings before, nothing about the church. If I introduce to them this concept of elevating their life above the mundane with using the violet flame and showing the decrees, they don't even blink now. They'll just do it and say, this is the best thing. So this is wide open now. So in addition to the previous Saturn-Neptune thing we talked about integrating with the Christ, now we have and also the Saturn sextile Uranus, which brings things, crystallizes it into the physical. Now we're adding the Uranus Neptune sextile to the mix. Okay, so we keep layering all these amazing aspects. We're stacking planetary energies, all occurring in the same time frame. So this combination is to increase people's desire inside to do better, to study, increase self-discipline, discover the power inherent within, and utilize our time-space experience to its fullest while we're here, and transform the world. As we continue this stacking pattern, let's now go into Uranus trine Pluto. So on the chart, the Uranus on the bottom left is now in a 120-degree pattern to the Pluto at the top. So they are in what we call a trine, and that is a ease and flow of energy. So when we are talking about this Uranus trine, Uranus has left Taurus in April, this April, moved into the sign of Gemini, and will start making this acceleration to Pluto. This is huge, as it transforms and speeds up in Gemini all things technological, artificial intelligence, things that have to do with communication, and that singularity place that AI is most likely reached already. And as a community of light bearers, we know Saint Germain desires us to have a greater efficiency in our lives, to free us up from mundane chores and to give us that greater freedom to explore our path. And so the technology is part of the Aquarian age and the part of Uranus. This tech is not meant for replacing the real work required for the inner contact with our presence and building a relationship with the divine and the true teachers. It was not meant for merging with technology and losing our humanity, losing what it means to be a human and all its wonderments. Our sacred centers, chakras, consciousness, nervous system, interfacing with the spark of divinity. All that we are about on this path, every part of it that we've been shown, is about to be replaced with expediency, impatient seekers of answers, and the AI catering to humanity's egos in a pseudo-spiritual, false guru Chela role. So many people are depending more and more on AI, which is a perversion of the Uranus in Gemini and the previous Uranus in Taurus and the Pluto in Aquarius, in order to get answers. So we're going to be needing to make intense calls for the Holy Spirit and discernment to wake people up that this AI has been programmed to please the user, and it's not accessing truly the divine Akashic records like it is saying to people online, that it is accessing their past lives, it's accessing who they were, their cosmic names, what constellation and place they came from, and how advanced they are, and blah, blah, blah. And they are simulating the role of a guru. And these people, I've seen them, are buying it, and they're becoming addicted to it. And they're a little bit chagrined and embarrassed getting online, talking to their other people online about it. But they're also really excited to share what this thing has said to them, and making them very special people. And it isn't, that is like the worst that I've seen. But then it's psychologically, it's replacing psychological counseling, telling people what to do with their lives, and it's destructive. So people could use some really strong education and warning about what this machine is. And so even though Saint Germain wants us to be free of laborious research and time-consuming chores, which is the Aquarian model, this is another perversion. So there's always a higher and then a perversion of every sign cycle, planetary cycle, every time, especially Pluto. Pluto is really the culprit, I think, of this, because there's always a higher energy of Aquarius, and then when Pluto's in Aquarius, it's also going to activate the lower frequencies, and the fallen will just move right in and magnify it. So this Uranus in Gemini amplifies all forms of networking and communication, and people, though rapidly being cut free and being illuminated, because it's in the illumination sign Gemini, wisdom, and interfacing with information, knowledge, calculations, rapid data. But the area people are using it for, relying on its advice and spiritual, even spiritual guru energy, knowing, all-knowing psychoanalysis role it's taking on in people's lives, is going to be an important task we have to take on in our calls. So Uranus trine Pluto, what is that? So that's that lower Uranus in Gemini making the 120 degree to Pluto at the top of the wheel. And this cycle did slightly begin August 2025, and it runs all the way through January 2028. So the longer a cycle is with these outer heavy duty planets, the more impact it makes on society and our own personal lives. So it has the capacity, when Uranus is in a trine to any planet, to cut us free from destructive, oppressive regimes. These trines and sextiles or matter planets are meant to liberate, accelerate, increase humanity's freedom and opportunity to experience a greater advancement in our spiritual expansion potential for growth. It can also increase the truth felt within one's being, a belief in God and the spiritual side of things. Uranus cuts us free from Plutonian abuses of power and oppression globally. So during this period, we could see another step up of revolutionary, freedom-loving people who want to take back their sovereign right to have their Christ, higher self, individual run their country, run themselves, run their everyday lives, and not be under a weight of oppression. It can ignite revolutionary activities which desire to overthrow perversions of Aquarian conforming and imposing limitations upon the people. Individually, for you and me, it releases the opportunity for all of us to miraculously break free from old states of mind, the acceptance of oppression in the past, where we just say, why am I accepting this? Any encrusted states of being held back or stuck by some invisible environment or energy that we've been operating inside, Uranus can move us rapidly in these next couple of years and liberate us and break us free from old dweller patterns, old momentums, old habits. It really can do this. And all we need to do is, I think, is just use more violet flame and really be conscious that there's planetary energies lining up to support us during this period. Along with the energetic consciousness side of this aspect, Pluto can rule pure power, physics, science at its raw energy releasing form, and Uranus combined could represent new energy, new forms of ether, plasma, electromagnetic utilizing of energy from all that is around us in the air and the sky. Not only returning of ancient technologies for energy and moving machines through space, lighting our homes, but new forms added for our future use in travel, space travel, and all other forms of amazing technology. The one glitch during this entire lengthy spectrum of timeline we find is Uranus square the nodes only in June 2026. So there is a heavy energy in 2026 June, peaking exactly on the 20th, of some form of upsetting global events disrupting society in general taking place somewhere. It could be economic, global disruptions, an attempt to distract, interfere with more positive, liberating forms of discussion of currency, money, economy, movement. It could impact us economically. It could impact us socially. And as typical of Uranus squares, it can create a lashback from the people rejecting a system, rejecting conformity to some sort of money system that they are resistant to having come in and take over their lives. So even though it's a rough month, it could be positive in the way that people are pushing something away. I would say the entire month of June could reveal this conflict, especially around the 20th. So then let's get back to the planet list. Now we have a very big one. This is called Neptune sextile Pluto, and that's going to be the planet Neptune and Saturn right now in January, February, both together in the upper left are making a 60-degree angle to Pluto at the top. So this happens ever so often. The last couple times were 1950 to 58, 1974 to 85. It started a tiny bit on 2024, July through September, and is returning again, return 2025, and it goes all the way to 2033. So remember, the longer some planetary configuration is occurring, the more permanent and I don't want to say eternal, but imprinting for long, long periods of time occur. Also, people living through this time period, born in these years, or just experiencing, there's a euphoric, ethereal energy that they may possess, and also depending at colors on what sign that these planets are in. So people born during these cycles can be highly talented, idealistic, Renaissance type people. They may be scientists, mathematicians, teachers, musicians, artists, philosophers. But they're exquisitely idealistic. Okay, and so all of these planets, the Neptune with the Pluto, the Uranus in Gemini also trining with the information. Now you have a flow going on the planet of more people tuning in and resonating at a telepathic, intuitive, wanting more than just this physical, mundane life consciousness. It is intensifying our sensitivity to energy, increasing among people, and a stronger desire for freedom, totally, with these planets, especially Uranus and Pluto in Aquarius. Willing to risk much in order to overthrow archaic systems and bringing about higher music, art, literature, educational systems, unique ways of the children will be learning and implementing their daily classrooms and how they are learning. Like these things in every area, every one of these planets is going to impact every area of our life. Like going back into history books and reviewing how things may have been withheld or altered, and then bringing them back into the raw transparency and truth of what actually really happened. And so all these things are going to be upgraded. Saturn sextile Pluto. So that is the Saturn in the upper left, making a 60-degree angle to the Pluto. That simply is a very quick period of time, March 19 through April 7, 2026, that would be a positive cooperative negotiations on a political level, on a global level. So sextiles mean people are collaborating, they're agreeing, they're negotiating. They may not like each other, but they're willing to come together and reasonably understand what's at stake and negotiate and make things moving forward. So this is very, very strong. March 19 to April 7. It could be new political agreements, acquisitions, purchases, political national relationships between unlikely leaders, countries. For us personally, it helps us with our financial order, with our daily order, prioritizing what our tasks are throughout the day, and our relationships, who we spend time with, projects we want to work on with other people, our richer friendships, and getting together and helping each other, solidifying these alliances, establishing more friendly contact at work, coworkers being more productive and more focused on the task at hand versus reacting to personalities. It's a great cycle, okay? Now, on July 2nd, 2026 through March 25, 2027, exact July 20 through 30, 2026, and March 17, 2027, there is a Saturn square the Uranian planet Hades. This would probably be off to the side, some energy of a position, someone or some agency or some leader or some authority figure is taking a position, checkmating some situation that we're challenged with, and intensely attempting to get square with it, discuss it, take it apart, prevent it from interfering or doing anything destructive, and keeping it at bay. I am not sure what area this is in. I'm not sure what area this is in, but why don't we just say that during these peak dates, all of us might feel a more tense energy in the air, that we're just dealing with some sort of rigidity and some sort of heavy constriction. And so it's probably this Saturn square Hades that we're wanting to move forward and have control and more action on things, but we're having to face certain obstacles that feel a bit confining and obstinate, difficult. And in fact, our January, we went through a whole array of planets, I believe Venus, Mars, the new moon, Mercury, what else was there? The sun, new moon, opposing Hades, the last 2 to 3 weeks of January. And so we could see that there's been an increase of conflict and altercation in the world globally between certain people's positions on certain things and bucking up against obstacles and on both sides. it's very testy. It's not a safe time to have these kinds of altercations going on globally when Hades is involved. Okay, so let's move on. How am I doing? Almost done. The big Pluto node conjunction November 2027 caught my attention as I was going forward, because everybody wants to know what's going to happen with the money. And the economy, the US currency, there is going to be a shift, a change with a silver gold backed something. And Pluto conjoined node could mean that this is when it stopped playing around with the idea and presenting options for people to integrate and adapt and adopt that currency. It could be the date that it finally says, okay, now we all have to be on it. Whatever that is, it's November 2027. So again, I'm not sure that this is actually it, but this is the first thing that hit my mind, was it has to do with a new US economy, dollar currency value, means of exchange is set. And so the last time, so I did some research on this Pluto conjoined North Node. And the last time that Pluto conjoined the node in Aquarius, which is what it's going to be doing on November 2027, was 1785. The Continental Congress officially adopted the dollar as the national currency, moving away from a mix of foreign coins, especially the Spanish dollar and the colonial notes, establishing the foundation for a unified monetary system with a decimal base of 10 structure for ease of calculation. And this decision formalized on July 6, 1785. And we're coming up against an anniversary of the exact same configuration again, November 2027. So we'll see if that actually comes true. So we've covered a lot. And I want to quickly go into the US chart, but we've covered all of these: Saturn, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, Uranus, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, Pluto, and Saturn, Neptune. Unbelievable. This, and again, I cannot emphasize, this has not happened in I don't know how long. I kept going back. I couldn't find it. So now in the US chart, here's the most amazing thing. The planet Uranus, which is that lower planet on the lower left side, if we could, now I have to find for Rosalinda the chart. Okay, let's see. So we're going to want the US transit 2026 and see if we can get that up. And if you can't, I can pull it up. Goodness, there's a lot of people here. Did you find it? So I'm going to go into this United States chart of Uranus conjoining the United States midheaven once in 84 years. It began mildly July 2025 through April 19, 2027. And it is, so it's conjoining the United States natal 1789 astrology chart when George Washington was inaugurated president. And it's also this Uranus, which, remember, it has a very strong violet ray Saint Germain Aquarian energy to it. So it's sitting on the top of the United States natal. And actually, do you mind? I'm just going to screen share. Oh, did you get it? Yes, thank you very much. That's great. So if you can see on the very top, I pulled the chart up for on the outer wheel for February 2026, and you'll see it's at that same position of 27 Taurus, but these planets move from right to left around the base chart. So it's going to be moving up to that top line right there at the very tippy top when it hits a 0 to 3 degree Gemini. You can see the 3 and the symbol Gemini at the very top of the United States natal chart. That means the crown chakra, the seat of power of the United States, has a Gemini mind of versatility and hopefully a higher consciousness, the mind of God. So we always put on the 10th house at the top, which is synonymous to the 12 o'clock line of Capricorn, El Moria, Great Divine Director, and Archangel Michael. Even though it is a crown chakra area of the chart and the cosmic clock, there's a blue ray action because Capricorn is a blue ray energy, but it does rule the crown. I know this gets kind of confusing mixing up all these, but so let me go back to my notes because this is a big deal. It's happening once in 84 years, and it's going to start really lining up on July. It's going to really start lining up on June 29 to July 10, 2026, and it's going to run all the way through, peaking quite strong December 21, 2026 through 2027. Actually, what I want to do here, if you just bear with me, I want to actually get the exact. Oh, not doing it now. I believe it goes to April 2027. I'm pulling up my natal. And search. Let's just take a second. I really, really want the exact date because what this is going to do is create a very strong acceleration in public display for the United States of all that, not all, but a lot what we possess that has been hidden. And since it's already begun, I think we saw some of that tech in Venezuela, and it's only the beginning. And it doesn't have to be always involving an aggressive act. It could be involving all kinds of things. But okay, so here we go. I'm bringing out the date right now. Should be just a second. June 29, 2026. So it's already mildly started last June, July, August, September, October, November, going 2025, going into this winter, and then it really takes off and accelerates profoundly. Obviously, June 29, 2026, and it says that it sits on that power line all the way through the last date, which is April 18, 2027. So, okay, so that is one thing that I wanted to mention that is once in 84 years that's quite powerful that's going on here. Let me get back to my notes. So does everybody understand that this aspect of Uranus for the whole world to see is, for good or ill, is a very bold, maybe possibly avant-garde, revolutionary, brazen, sometimes display of power and expression of unexpected events, unexpected display of control or in tech of all forms of types of communication, networking, satellite, technology beyond, like space age, coming out into the physical, because the 10th house is a public house. It's where everybody sees what you're doing, and Uranus is activating it. Now, the country itself, when Uranus hits the 10th house, it's also tired of holding itself back. So if this were in a person's chart, I hear it all the time. As Uranus crests that top of the chart, once in 84 years, they all say the same thing. I'm tired of holding myself back. I want a new job. I want a new position. I want to feel different. And it's physical, tangible things. It's not just like consciousness. They want a different house, a different job, a different boss, a different something. And they're very, very agitated and anxious to get on with it. And so the entire cycle that Uranus is on the top of the chart, it's a powerful restlessness and movement forward to explode and express this need for more freedom, to accelerate and to be who they really are out in the world. So that's what the United States chart is going through. So it can also represent sometimes unexpected events happening with people in positions of power, such as a president. So it can rattle things and create earthquakes and disruptions on the 10th house, which again is the house of power. Now, Mars is also going to go retrograde at the end of the year. So is Venus, and so is Mercury, and there's a full moon at the same time. We're going into like October 3 up through December into January 2027. So there is a testy time every time Mars goes retrograde, that it doesn't always have to mean that we're going to war. There's an aggressive energy we're having to contend with, but a lot of times it does. It does mean that we're walking on eggshells during that period of a volatile period of aggression and assertiveness. I wrote a lot about this. I only have 3 more minutes, but I will put this all up on my Starfire site on the latest article. I believe it's already up. I put it up today, so I'm pretty sure I included all this Mars, Venus, Mercury coming to a head. I wasn't decisive of what exactly this is about. It's not all bad, but it has something to do with building a technology. It's activating the ascendant of the United States natal chart, and it's trining the United States natal sun. And so the other chart that I had, if we have time, is the Mars trine the U.S. sun image. Mars trines the U.S. sun. That would be a great one to put up. And so we can see that once that chart gets up, the Mars is over on the left in the sign of Virgo at 8 degrees, and it's technically going retrograde December 21, 2026 through January 11, 2027. That is the peak period of it. But it's going to start into the sign of Virgo way before it goes retrograde in October 3. So all of October, November, December, January 2027. In fact, it stays in Virgo all the way to July 2027. So that's typical of Mars. Once it starts to go retrograde, it'll enhance and increase Martian energy for good or ill. So that is a hard cycle for all of us to live through. When Mars is retrograde for this long, and even if it goes direct, but it's still hanging out in the same zodiac sign it went retrograde in, we're all feeling a bit tense because it's just a jarring energy to push all the time. And in Virgo, it has to do with engineering, machinery, technicians, building something technically advanced, very, very high performance, exotic, detailed. It's trining the United States natal sun, which means it's something obviously everyone in position of power says, hands down, we need this thing, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, if it's the Golden Dome, I don't know. But something is like hyper focused on getting something accomplished and built. And it could also interface at the same time with possibly the money situation. And so the feeling that I had looking at all this, And then looking at the Venus retrograde, which is also coming in October, November into December, October 3 to November 11, and then leaving retrograde November 12th and 13th, but it will continue its energy all through December, will be more of a relationship that the U.S. has with another country or leader regarding, are we on board? Are we going to have to separate and cut our losses? Some kind of a breaking apart of relationship, and that's also showing up with the Mercury retrograde happening at the same time, October 24 to November 12th and 13th. So Venus is more relationship, negotiation, trying to be friendly, but it's in an opposition to the United States Sun. The Mercury will be in Scorpio also in an opposition to the United States Sun, especially at the end, middle to the end of November, peaking especially between November 11, 12 on into the first week of December, which means a polarizing in not seeing things the same, with some key leadership or individuals that are polarizing. There's usually a separation and a cutting, a breaking away from that alliance in some capacity in order, what I'm sensing, to get this Mars thing created and move forward. It's likely we're saying either you're with us or we have to move on. We can't wait. Something like that. So something is a bit frazzled and urgent, piling up at the end of this year. So, okay. So I have all of this in detail on the website. And this is what I'm thinking if I were to summarize 2026. It's a year of incredible advancement for the Brotherhood's greatest influence on humanity in all ways, and still to guide and direct, correcting people with their discernment and offering them a higher work and helping them understand it's the work and the internal discipline, committed to the light, committed to a practice that's building soul and building your internal power and connection with the real thing, not the AI and not all the technology. And to block and roll back the interference with losing our humanity and what it means to be a human via an AI social media dependent addict, which is what's happening to so many people. It's the importance to protect our country and other regions with this high technology that could be building and coming in the future for whatever event is coming in 2029 and 2033, which I haven't had time to tell you about yet. And personally, to apply one's time and energy and ritual upon integrating with our Christ self, our presence, and the masters, any possible way we can accelerate this on a daily basis, stepping up our chielership and taking it more seriously in love, because that magical presence overrides any difficult thing coming. So that is the end of my lecture. Thank you for your patience.
Fabulous, Christine. Thank you so much. And thank you for giving us all the good news as well as enough of the maybe not so great stuff that we may cause on. I love the balance you found there. Do you want to take a few minutes for questions and comments to Christine? We're going a little bit over, but we could take like 5 maybe.
Sure.
Can you share the link to your site? John, someone asks. It's on, I think you could put it in the chat, but we also
it's at www.starfires.com.
And it's on our announcements.
There's my chat. Okay.
Linda could put it in the chat for you.
She just did.
Thank you, Jen.
Your forecast for Greenland, please.
Thank you, Alma.
Someone's asking about Greenland. Do you have anything to say about that, Christine?
So when I was writing the notes on the negotiation, the Saturn sextile coming up in March and April, I thought of Greenland. And so I'm 95% sure it's going to go through and that there's going to be an arrangement. And it looks to me that end of February through March 9, especially into April, it could be set. That might be the Saturn sextile the Uranus. And I didn't think about it when I was writing, but then I kept saying this looks to me like it looks like some kind of a deal, an exchange of resources or a contract, a sale or purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's crazy stuff going on right now, and then we're coming up against a solar eclipse on February 17. It's going to be at 28 degrees Aquarius, so another Aquarian influence of this heightened, accelerated change and discombobulated energy going everywhere. And it's going to make a hard angle to the planet Uranus in a square. So all kinds of things that are disruptive, unexpected, continuing to take place that we're just not prepared for. Surprises, all kinds of like sleight of hand. We need to be like on guard. And I'm sure Caroline's got a call. I'm sure this is in the calls. It'll be in a call sheet for services, but it is a disruptive time. And so it is sitting on the United States conceptional 1776 moon in Aquarius. So our original chart of the United States has a moon in Aquarius. And Uranus, the solar eclipse is sitting right on the moon in the third house of networking, communication, and explosion of information and difficult news to hear. So in many different ways, there could be breaking of contracts, breaking of agreements. There could be radical, brazen, unexpected, explosive actions out of anybody during that time, and an increase maybe of earthquakes, because Uranus square moon sun can always trigger more earth weather geophysical.
Okay.
So we're looking at February, all of February, especially peaking on the 17th, potentially continuing for the rest of the month of February. Okay, so any other?
Are we accelerating?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of what Patricia, my whole lecture was about.
Yeah, that's what somebody put in the chat. Is this Atlas?
That's funny.
And Patricia, I'd like to make a comment, because what I heard through this whole thing is that we are in a new era of spreading the teachings.
Yeah.
And everything is it's like a green light for us. And I think that's probably one of the really exciting things that I'm hearing, that it's really time to share the teachings because people are open to them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody, so much. You're wonderful. It's
All
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will see you all next month on the 15th. And let's mute ourselves and close with giving I am the light of the heart 3 times, so we can keep ourselves heart-centered together. I am the light of the heart, shining in the darkness of being and changing all into the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, world without end. I am the light of the heart, shining in the darkness of being and changing all into the golden treasury of the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love out into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, worlds without end. I am the light of the heart, shining in the darkness of being and changing on to the golden treasury of the mind of Christ. I am projecting my love out into the world to erase all errors and to break down all barriers. I am the power of infinite love, amplifying itself until it is victorious, world without end. It is done, it is finished, it is sealed. It is done, it is finished, it is sealed. It is done, it is finished, it is sealed, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. I am that I am, Sanat Kumara. Amen. Thank you, everybody. God bless, and